Hi, I'm Allie Carthright, mindset coach. When I started working with Laurie-Ann, I was lost as to what exactly I needed to do to meet my lofty speaking and business goals. I had no real sales process set up, and she taught me her easy and effective sales strategies. I got booked to speak and attracted my ideal clients. My calendar is now wonderfully full. Thanks, LA.
I used to work as a leadership coach for a week-long immersion program, and every single time I would watch the same thing happen. People would come in, get their 360 evaluation reviewed with me, sit through incredible, inspiring speakers, and by the end of the week, they had a list, a very long list, 12, maybe 15 things they wanted to change and do differently. And almost every time, nothing would change unless they were one of my clients. And the reason why is because I noticed this from all my years of coaching that I would stop them. And no, we're not going to focus on 12, 15 things at once. We're going to focus on one. And the reason for this is because when you try to change everything, you end up changing nothing. Hey, welcome back to Be in Demand. I am your host, Laurie-Ann Mirabito, and today we are talking about one thing, the single domino, the shift that when you make it, it makes everything else easier. And if this is your first time listening to Be in Demand, well, welcome. I love my listeners, and I have more than 25 years of speaking and stage experience. And what I do is I help you use your voice, your story, so that you make an impact. Hey, some people are into New Year's resolutions, and some people don't even bother anymore. We're almost at the halfway mark of this year. And maybe you haven't even looked at your list of things that you wanted this year to be different. Maybe you didn't even bother because it hasn't worked in the past. So why would it work this year? And I just want to talk about doing one thing. Because if you're anything like some of the clients that I've worked with in the past, it's like get this laundry list of things that you want to do, that you want to change, that you want to be different. And how do you do that if you try focusing on all of these things? You know, Gary Keller of Keller Williams wrote a book and built a business on the one thing. So, what is your one thing? And I want you to think of a one thing as what's the one thing that if I had to tip over one domino, it would then tip over the next domino? So, if that seems a little too heady for you, I just want you to focus on one thing. Let me just continue with the conference and leadership development analogy that I just shared with you. And this would happen over and over again. And what I would tell my clients was, we've got this list of things that you want to change. Let's not try changing them in the first week because you're going to go home, go back to the office, and your team is going to roll their eyes saying, well, he just came back from a conference. Give her a few days and she'll be back to normal. And then you will just be back to normal the way you were before the conference, before the event. But if you focus on just one thing that you want to get down pat, one thing that you want to turn into a habit, and let that really sink in. So for some of my leadership development clients, it was not booking themselves hour after hour after hour, having some blocks of time in their day so that they weren't getting burnt out, so that they had time to think. They had time to actually do the work that they were assigned to do. One gentleman that I worked with, he actually had something like 25 people that reported to him. And I said to him, even if once a month you only spent an hour with each of those 25, that still doesn't leave a whole lot of time left for you to do your work. So I encouraged him to basically reorganize his team, and he did. He then had 5 people that reported directly to him, and the other 20 reported to those 5. That's taking action. That's freeing up so much more of his time. So now those 5 people he could spend more time with more frequently throughout the month to grow and develop them into leaders. Now, I want you to think about like fitness. I'm going to use this as an example. Let's just say your goal, your desire is to get healthier. And you're like, I want to start getting to the gym. I want to eat healthier. I want to decrease my alcohol consumption. I want to quit binge eating over the weekends. I want to decrease my prescription meds that I'm currently taking. I want to move more, increase muscle mass. If you try to do all of those things on day one, you're going to be frustrated and upset with yourself. So try one thing. Maybe that's, I'm going to go to bed earlier so that I wake up earlier and I get into this habit. And after a couple of weeks, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, you're like, okay, great. This is part of who I am now. I go to bed early. I wake up early. I can now add the next thing, which might be something as simple as I'm going to start drinking more water. And so you start drinking more water each day. And then you add on the next thing. Maybe it would be just like, I want to park at the far end of the parking lot so that I can get more steps in. I can move more. And it may be by month 3 or 4, that's when you actually start, I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm ready for the gym. I have set myself up for success so that as I go to the gym, it's not going to feel so overwhelming with everything else that I'm trying to do at once because I'm starting to establish some really good habits. Let's take a speaking goal now. You want to start speaking up and speaking with more eloquence. Well, what do you start doing? If you're in corporate, I want you to start raising your hand, volunteering to be the speaker, raising your hand to ask a really good question instead of waiting for somebody else to start the Q&A. You start with the first question. And if you're a coach or a consultant and you're having trouble getting visible, the best thing you can do is start speaking to IG, start speaking on stories. And as a matter of fact, if you're in corporate and you want to get really good with speaking on camera, I would suggest that you start a private IG account. That way you can speak, do a story that nobody else is going to see except for you. Now, here's the reason why I'm suggesting IG stories, and you can turn it into a post if you want, so that you can see your progression on how you've gotten better through the days, through the weeks, through the months. And if you make your account private, nobody else is going to see this except you. And I guarantee you, you will start to see a difference in how many filler words you use, how okay you are with silence, with pausing. Give yourself this gift. 30, 60, 90 days of doing this rep, and you will be unrecognizable. I mean, when you think about an IG story, it is literally 60 seconds. So, do you have a total of 30 minutes this month in the next 30 days that you could devote to something like this? We're talking 60 minutes, an hour over the next 60 days, 90 minutes over the next quarter. That's not a whole lot of time to be learning a new skill, something that is going to tip the next domino over. So I love this domino principle because it really is, what can you do that will impact something else? What's that one next skill that you know, if you learn this, it's going to make a huge difference? And do not pretend not to know. You already know what skill you need to be doing the reps for. You already know what new skill you need to be adding to your business, to your career that is going to make the biggest difference. And that's what I want you to be doing. Here's your little homework assignment. Whatever your goal is, speaking, leadership presence, your visibility, I want you to break this down into a baby step or baby steps. Figure out what those steps are and then take one of them and start doing that one. It doesn't have to be a big one. It doesn't have to be the biggest domino that's going to knock down all the other dominoes. But I want you to find your first domino, and you're going to do it scared. It's going to be hard. The first time you rode a bike was hard. The first time you drove a car, it was difficult. There were so many things that you had to be paying attention to. But at the end, when you do enough reps, it becomes so much easier. You're going to look back on learning this skill and be like, wow, look at how far I've come. Look at the impact this has had in other areas of my life. That's what I want for you. Okay, so you just listened to this entire episode about taking one action. Here's one more for you. I want you to book a speaker success call. Go to speakandstandout.com/speaker dash success and down into the show notes, and you will find the link. Grab a spot on my calendar. That's going to be one of your baby steps today. That's your first domino. And if your goal is to become the kind of leader who commands a room, who gets noticed, who stops being overlooked, then that one call is where it all begins. I can hardly wait to meet you and hear more about what you want to accomplish in the future. Until next week, I want you to be in demand.